Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Boundary Breakers. Wow, do we have something cooked up for you today? Today, we're going to be talking about breaking generational cycles and how we can go towards healing complex trauma. We're brought here today with Lorie Dawn and some amazing guest audience members. And we're going to talk about the profound impact that trauma actually has on our lives and how Lorie has come to find this unique approach between readings, natural connections, expressive arts, and provides compassionate and holistic path towards healing. So why don't we delve into some of these practices together and really get to the root of this authentic connection? Take it away, Lorie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. So it's a rather long story about how I got to this place, but I had spent many years, it's been like 2015, I say my spiritual awakening started on a trip to Thailand with elephants and learning about Buddhism. And then I had a whole fundraising career. And as I was transitioning out of that, I started taking courses and I was focused on starting a business about oracle card readings and how that they could change your life, and crystal readings. And what kept happening to me over and over again, which had already been a pattern in my life, is that things would crash and burn, and almost always it's relationships. And trauma is a relational wound. Complex trauma is a relational wound. So I kept crashing and burning, the same things kept happening. And then I found a therapist. Well, in 2022, I read Pete Walker's book and understand exactly what complex trauma was. So that was the beginning of understanding the depth of the complex trauma. It's this interesting thing. I had an awareness that I had complex trauma, but the depth of it. And I've called myself identified as a cycle breaker, like my whole life. Like, be the change has been my quote. That you want to see in the world, but like thinking more, it's almost like I feel like I'm sinking more into the earth with it. So a lot of the things that I was doing was about going up into the ethers up there and channeling and pulling it down. And now I understand, after I did some work with a therapist that did some like tapping. And then I found Tanner Wallace, which is her work that I will be speaking about. And you can find her at CPTSD Medicine on Instagram. She has like a whole Students of the Medicine thing offsite that you can join if you want to. So this is not my unique work. I just want to be very clear about that. But I found her, and she has a program based in internal family systems. It's a style of therapy where you have parts. And everyone's probably heard, if you've done any kind of healing journey, you're watching this, your inner child. So I had done so many things of those, but with parts work, you have like so many, like Caitlin can attest to this. Like we have so many parts of us that are frozen in time. And when you have complex trauma, and what seems to be evidenced among it, and I only found out 2 weeks ago that I have ADHD, inattentive, hyperactive, and I'm still learning how that's going to shift my life. It already has in 2 weeks, just knowing about that and knowing this system of it's what was going on in your internal world. So the first caveat of it was, where are you giving your power away? Everywhere. I was everywhere. I was giving it to the dog, I think, my power, right? Like there was just like so many places where I was giving my power away. And then there was, so then it's about like when you're giving your power away, but it's then like identifying the parts and you unburden them. So that's like a really big part of it, is unburdening your parts. And so I had kind of like, okay, that's it. Like I've given my power away. I created my business in this giving my power away. And it was called Mystic Mother. I had 3 iterations of it. One was Lady Oracle. Turned out Margaret Atwood had a book called Lady Oracle. So I couldn't use that name. Then it went to Lady Lorie, and then the Mystic Mother. And the Mystic Mother, we had a plan to like scale it to like sales, to multi. And then it felt like everything, like the whole, it always is this feeling of the bottom coming out again,
Like
and right? Like the bottom coming out, you're landing, the same thing has happened, the exact same things. The people are saying the same things to you in your relationships that are falling apart. You're feeling the same way. And then it's this thing to isolate. So it's about connecting with community, around this. And like, that's how we heal. We heal in community. So I started working with Tanner a year ago. Like I followed her for quite a few months. You can learn a lot just by following her IG page. and she does some like live events. And then I did a whole year of work with her protocols. And lineage healing is one of them. So many things are passed down to us through our mom's line, our mom's dad's line, dad's line. So it's all of these things and learning to identify them in your body and how, just going to say, learning to identify how it feels in your body when parts are acting up or they want you to do something. Once you get a sense on your parts, you can unburden them, they can go away. You can do all of these things. And I don't want to get too deep into the techniques, but that's how I found Tanner Wallace's work. And what I found with that is that after a year of this, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, that was just like, it wasn't authentic. My parts were going crazy when I'm pulling in this big cosmic energy. To then I was like, oh, wait a minute. And it was mostly within the group of community members that I was with was, they would feel, and it was mama bear energy, they would all call it, right? Like, it's like loving, and anybody that's got any kind of complex trauma, we all need so much love and so much support. And so like finding this community, and it's like, I have goose, like my whole body is reacting to the love of like someone saying, I'm proud of you. And, oh my God, you're doing such a good job. Not like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're going on another thing. And what are you doing? You're digging too deep, like sense the negativity versus, oh my goodness, we found our place. We're not broken. That's what we've all been told over and over again. A lot of us with complex trauma, you're broken. There's something wrong with you. It's all your fault. Those kind of things. And there's a lot of personal responsibility into it, like, quite frankly, like, because a lot of things are things you've contributed to in the way that you behave. So that's something you really have to learn, that you get protective parts that attack, you know, like they do some pretty, and they're very intricate about their self-sabotage. Mine are, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but mine are very tricky. And I'm only 1 year in, and, you know, Tanner explains this, which I love. It's just like, this is 1 to 3 years of doing this work, just working through it. And I was looking for to be completely honest, I didn't realize it at the time, but I thought there's some quick fix. And not even super quick, like I'd done therapy, but nothing really had, like, what's the outcome of this going to be? And nor did anybody ever say CPTSD is an injury versus a mental illness, an injury that you can recover from. And it was the therapist I was working with. He's like, it's an injury. It's not a mental illness. Your brain was injured, your body, the trauma was stored in it. So it's an injury that you can, with work, and just to be very clear, it does take a lot of work of personal responsibility and accountability to yourself, and coming, you know, like there's just so much of that that's like on you to come back to that. And then I started realizing, oh, my cards, like, they do help people. It's not, so in some ways I was giving my power to my cards, right? To all of my cards, I was giving my power to these things rather than I'm the oracle, like it's pulling through me. So in Tanner's program, what happens is you do the healing and then your medicine naturally rises. You know, everybody else is like, do my program and I'll teach you how I do things. And I had done so many programs like that and just kept bumping up against walls.
Yeah.
And in the end, the teacher would say, well, you're not doing the work and you haven't done it. But so now I found that it's a complement to my healing. It is not, oh, I still stand by it, that they can help you in your day-to-day, that they can help you just when you're having a moment to check in with it, grounding. So that's how I've gone to here. And then just this week, I was like, my name is Lorie Dawn, is my 2 given names. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just stripping it back to that. It's not a business anymore. It's a passion project.
Yeah.
And you know what? If something grows out of it, and thank you to you, Piper, for reaching out to me for this, you know, interview, which made me really think about the ways that it can connect. And, you know, especially intergenerationally, especially to seniors right now that, you know, they may hear all these words and they may hear these things. They may have a family member that's trying to talk to them about this. And I would say, just open your heart. And if anybody's trying to talk to you about this in your family, they love you so much. And they just want to find healing. Does that answer your question? I could continue talking for
Completely. And, you know, so I think that relatability, that we are all looking to be loved and find our place, is something that so many people are currently struggling with. And I love how you mentioned that that sort of trauma is not mental illness, but it is actually from injury. And then when you connected that with, people trying to talk to the seniors in their lives and might be faced with some resistance, that is also a part of that mindset from how they grew up. And they have been, around for longer than we have and in completely different environments and whatnot. So I feel like we need to approach that with some sort of understanding. And really, the only way we could do that is through communicating with one another.
Yes. Communication and repair. Like that's the biggest thing that I have learned on this journey. It's about doing repair. And so when you're like, if a relationship's broken or you've been the one to break it, like my pattern was like cut and run, right? Like I get overwhelmed, I get too many things happening. And then it's just like, okay, that's it. It's done. It's over, right? As opposed to trying to do the repair work. And, a lot of the intricate part of this is working with your parts, right? Understanding your parts, understanding your lineage, understanding things that are coming in. But, all of our ancestors lived in a completely different world. And they're the reason that we got to here, right? But I can only use my example as one. My mom, as opposed to when I come to her and try to have a conversation, is very defensive and protective. And she's doing all of these things to not even have a conversation about it, just be so defiant that she was right. And that's what they did back then, as opposed to someone saying, okay, I'm sorry, I've worked through it with my own children. I have worked through that they come to you with a really hard thing. And you have to say, okay, I'm sorry. The power of I am sorry.
Yeah.
It was not my intention to hurt you. I did the best that I could with what I had, kind of thing, right? I did the best that I could with what I had. And we all understand that. Everyone understands that. I can't speak for everyone. I'm saying about myself.
Yeah.
So, and so many things have changed, and I understand that it is confusing. But if you're coming with an open heart and working on it, as opposed to which so many in my generation, like I'm 58, so my mom's in her 70s, right? So they're like, that's just the way it was done. We didn't know. And part of it is there's an avalanche of everything underneath that. If it did, so it's a very complex. But what I would say to anyone that has a person in their life that has complex trauma, and it's not about placing blame. There's reasons that things have happened, but this is about healing it and moving forward so that we're changing human evolution. We are changing evolution when we heal ourselves. I know it feels almost trite, I think, in the world that there's so much complex things happening, that healing ourselves actually helps the whole collective, but genuinely it does. So the best thing that you can do for the world is to work on your own trauma and healing it. Like that's how we all heal the world, is by doing our own work. And then we're different in the world. Like I can say that I was different. Like I went back and I picked up a job in last fall, like working at Lululemon as an educator, like bottom rung doing that, but learning the relational field with people and witnessing the stories that my parts create about how someone says something, particularly if someone comes with a tone of voice. I am very tone of voice sensitive. Mm-hmm. So, but really catching that and just going in, doing everything not to react. And what I love to do, this is the technique that I use to get it, is just get back in your own energy, because you can pick up so many things around you. Even on my 10-minute break at work, I just put my headphones on and go into my own energy.
Yeah.
And then I can have a little conversation with my parts and, like who took that way? Like, let's just, and the whole, and lots of times there is big activated energy because you've had someone come at you with that energy. So it gets in you. So it's like learning ways to clear that energy from yourself too. And that's where my tools and techniques, like, again, I just want to reiterate, this is Tanner Wallace's work that I'm referring to, all of the parts work. but you can use your own medicine gurgles up once you do the healing. And we each have our own different style of medicine.
Yeah.
And I am learning, this is still within the realm of my medicine, but I'm only 1 year in, and I'm just really trusting things more and not needing to explain and justify my intuition. Like, I know that's something that's like, you always want to like, and when people for me, when I met with resistance, then that's part of my healing too,
Yeah.
is to just keep going, the perseverance, to not back down, to take a step forward.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I feel like it's that ability to keep persevering when you feel like you've hit rock bottom that people need to, become comfortable in the discomfort, because that is something that will keep reoccurring as long as we're on this earth. And I think that if anyone is struggling and looking for someone to talk to, Lorie really has the experience in this. So please tune into her Instagram if you'd like to, just hear a little bit more about that and find your own personal path.
Thank
All
you.
right. So I wanted to ask you, in your experience within major gift fundraising and building relationships, how did that really affect your approach to healing and in that spiritual work?
My fundraising career?
Mhm.
Well, the big thing about the fundraising career that took me years to understand, um, one, I kept doing the hardest part over and over again. Like, I would stay with a job for a year at a director level, at a very high level. And then I moved to consulting, because that's what consulting is all about. It's about moving, and realized maybe that's one of my things. But the
Yeah.
biggest thing within fundraising that really impacted my trauma, one, I went into capital campaign fundraising, which is the most stressful and chaotic. It's actually an example, someone said this, it's like an organization that's got complex trauma, and they're like activating, right? They want to do this big thing. They want to build a building. And every nonprofit has such a good cause. All the ones I worked for, I went in with like my whole heart. And then they project, which I didn't understand the term projection field. Like, someone is who they think you are, and they're
Yeah.
putting it on you,
Yeah.
right? That happens to all of us with complex trauma, or trauma ecosystems. But within fundraising, so then I chose a career that played out my childhood trauma over and over again, where it is, they don't respect me, they don't listen to me, and I feel like I'm stomping my feet saying, listen to me, I know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And they're just like, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? And whose job's going to go? So I now know that's like a hard boundary with an executive director. Well, that's your job, not mine.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know all these things. I took it all into my system, into my heart. Like, oh my God, which one of my friends is going to lose their job this week if I don't
Yeah.
raise money? Right. But it's also bad behavior within those executive directors too. Like, it's just like this trauma bouncing around. So I really went into, this is how I came up with the term doula, because I was in hospice work to start off with. I lost my husband and my dad very like right after my son was born. So grief, I know, but man, I tell you, the grief with complex trauma,
Yeah.
there's so many multiple levels of grief. And mostly it is when you learn how you yourself have participated. Like, for me, learning about like handing my power over, and it's just like, wow, I did that everywhere. So there's just these things that you learn and you come back to. But the fundraising career really reflected back to me that I would go going into organizations that were in chaos,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all looking for you to make sense of it.
Yeah.
So like, why I chose that career most likely. And the most like fundraising career has a lot of pressure, but the most competitive part of it I chose. And then when I made it even more complex when I went to consulting, because when it's a consultant, like, I had an organization do this. They're like, well, if that organization can't do it, if the consultant, Lorie, I won't say the business can't do it, well, then it can't work. But really, they didn't even do anything. And the biggest thing is they won't do, in my experience,
Yeah.
what they need to do. So asking someone for $1 million is like dating them. Just because they have capacity to give $1 million does not mean you go to the first meeting and say, can I have $1 million? Like,
Yeah.
it's hands. And that's what I say. It's all about the relationship, like asking questions, So I think I learned all that. And that's where I learned like it's a superpower, I would call it now, my relational thing. And it happens to me at work now too. Like people just, I work in fits and everybody shares their cancer story with me back there. Like they're trying something on and they just tell me. And then I've asked some other people and some people say it, but more, I think people, and they'll say, oh, I can't believe I just told you that. So
Yeah.
there's something about my energy that's happened always across the board, no matter where I was, people felt that way. Even though I was probably so much in my trauma, but there was still some piece of me that people felt safe around or
Yeah.
open, or I don't know, I guess maybe just a little different than other people.
Yeah.
And so like, I would say that it was like, it reflected back to me my trauma. And then I would go, and I would crash, like a hard burnout. Sometimes the worst one was 3 months in bed. Like I got in a minor car accident on the way home from work after a very stressful day, and I could not get out of bed the next day.
Yeah.
I literally was curled in a ball on my bed, and I didn't know what was happening to me. Doctors would say this statement: do you have complex grief brought on by early childhood trauma? Which now, like they didn't have the term CPTSD back then,
Yeah.
but that's exactly what it is. But it's taken me, 20, it's coming up on 25 years of, I focused on my secondary trauma, trying to, but it was really that deep early stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is what sticks to people, even not in the forefront of their mind. Those are like the inhibiting feelings that kind of dictate the way you outlook on the world. And those are the hardest things to improve and heal about yourself. So to talk a little bit about your tactics, mindsets, skills, what are some ways that people can really connect? And I'm thinking, like, let's bring it into nature. How can we use nature to our benefit in that healing process from those sorts of feelings and experiences?
For me, it's the best place to go. Like nature always wins. Like if you look at like a car that's been dumped in, or how a tree can grow through anything, like there's some of them grow off the side of the mountain. Nature always wins, right? Like it finds a way to circumvent something that's on its path. It finds a way to grow. So for me, trees were the first thing. So when I was 3 months in bed, what happened to me when I came out of that, I could hear the trees. I mean, I feel safe to say that now, after all the research that's been done, that trees actually communicate with each other, and there is a frequency, and they talk to each other. But when I said it in 2010, I had a friend that said, "Don't tell anybody that." Like they'll.
Yeah.
So, but luckily I was working with the art therapist that said, "Oh, you can feel their energy." So you can go to trees. So I love to do tree meditations.
Yeah.
First thing is, you can just sit your butt on the earth. Like the earth, she is right there and she'll hold you. Like she's got you, man. Like lay down on your back, bare feet on the grass, go in the water, like all the elements, like a fire on the beach by the ocean, just, absorb yourself in the elements is the thing. Like, and if you can't actually absorb yourself in it, the next best thing is to visualize or read about them, right? But one thing I would say, like you walk up to a tree, I always like to ask permission. And when you're walking, believe me, the nature always sends you a clue. So when you're walking, anything like a leaf could be fluttering like this, right? But it's drawn your attention. Go home and Google that tree. Like there's some sort of meaning there, right? There's always some sort of meaning. So there one tree, like it happens to me every single day. It blows my mind. I can confidently say this, well, that tree's calling me.
Yeah.
I just walk over to the tree, often a different tree. I have some special trees that are always my friends, but I just walk up and say, thank you. I could put my hands on just gratitude. Thank you. Thank you, friend. And then I would ask permission. It would be okay if I put my hands on your bark. So then you put your hands on the bark and you literally can feel it. Different days, there's more, connection that you feel it more. And you might feel silly, like you might not want to do this, but just stay with it. If you can go out to a tree where no one can see you, I tell you, this really does help. And then I like to put like my right hand on it and I walk in a circle with my right hand all the way around it, like, you know, noticing things on the bark, if anything, sometimes something on the ground, mushrooms often, because they also have their own frequency.
Yes,
And,
they do.
and then I put my hand on my left hand on and I go the other way around her. And then I like stand in the middle, and then I like to put both hands on the tree and I put my forehead. So third eye, if you know your chakras, like just right on the tree. And then I ask, I'll say, can you please help to pull this energy from my system? Like whatever is happening that is like thrown me off, it's like, please release this from my system.
Yeah.
And I can attest to though, sometimes complex trauma that doesn't always, like sometimes you're still going to feel, I just go by like the feeling, like there's still a feeling in your body. And now I understand that on a different level.
Yeah.
And that's too complex to get into on this, but it's your parts acting up, right, to this. But befriending them and unburdening them and releasing them and getting them to see this is very helpful for us. Let's like work with them.
Yeah.
And then just imagine it going out into the earth. I have at times, like I have pines. It's funny, white pine came up as one of my cards before I do this, but I have white pine trees. I literally have been so activated on days. I like run to them like they're a person, right?
Yeah.
And collapse into their soft little things. And like, I really can feel the energy in my body moving things and healing things. And we all move so fast, like even past the trees in the city, right? Nobody even really notices them.
Yes.
And I know people often mock me. This is when I might get mocked the most. Like I'm on a walk because I'll always touch a leaf. And I'm a little bit like a little kid still. That's what my kids say. Mom, you have such little kid energy. Right? Like, oh my goodness, look at that tree. Or, you know, there's a flower. I'm always noticing what nature and numbers, right? Like the signs that are coming out. So that's what and there is a message there, like go home. And most of it's trust too, right? And nothing is as easy as a quick fix. Like there's no quick fixes.
Yeah.
Like, there's no quick fixes. There are things that can make you feel calmer, more grounded. Grounding is the biggest thing, like really feeling connected to the earth. And when I was going through the programs where I was like pulling the energy from way up in the ethers down through my body, I know now my parts were like, this isn't safe, because in all of our lineages, we have women that have been put to death because of using these types of things.
Yes.
So there is deep trauma within our lines from the women being hurt by this, the men losing their wives, mothers, children, women turning on each other, like turning each other in. There's so much trauma from that in our lines of disempowered women that had to use manipulation, marry their children off at a very young age. Like there's so much, I can just feel my whole body is like resonating with this, because every line and every dad's line has the war trauma in it.
Yeah.
They all went to war. And the reason that we are, what's happening now in the world is because of what they've done, you know? So, and they all didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it when they came home. I remember my grandpa, like he never talked about it. He went to 2. And if you brought it up, he was get angry, right?
Yeah.
So, and I used to, Wounded Lorie took anybody, because I'm someone that asks the question. I've learned that about myself. I have to take I had a really great boss in my fundraising career. Her name was Susan Story. And she said, Lorie, you need to learn to taper your strengths. And one of them is I can see something. I can see the trauma and I'll ask a question. And if they're not ready and they don't want to talk about it, it's an explode. Their protective parts are like,
very closed. Yeah.
Very cool. I hadn't thought about that until just this moment. It's their protective parts like back away from this person. She can see what you're trying to hide. And so then I would be wounded by the reactions. But now I know, like, one, that's a little too deep. Like, I always want to go deep. I want to dive deep with people.
Yeah.
You know, my son, Casey, and I are like, we go on deep dives. My daughter jokes all the time. And my recovery buddies, I just love deep conversations. And not everybody does. Most people say they like to just, because it's painful
Yeah,
sometimes.
and that's the scary thing about generational trauma. It is totally prickly and no one wants to really talk about that. And that is something that lives on in us and is never actually addressed. So that is
Well,
it's
that's the secret. Secrets are so toxic. They
mhm.
are like a toxic, like just draining down the generational line, the deep secrets. So there was one in my family line about who, like my grandpa was raised with a woman that he called his sister, but really was his mother because
Yeah.
she had him at 15. Like that's deep,
Mhm.
deep trauma, right? That takes a lot of healing. No one wants to talk about it. I asked questions about it and everyone reacted.
Yeah.
And so I'm understanding my own approach in these things too, to be softer with things too. But also you do need to do the work. And I think the biggest thing is who's around you.
Yeah.
Like we've all heard this. You're like, I think it's like the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, like that, what are they doing? And I
Yeah.
can attest to this starting to work with my recovery buddies and the people at Lululemon, that these are people that are trying to be the best versions of themselves.
Hmm.
They're always working on their next level up.
Yeah.
They're just not coasting. They're not just like drinking themselves silly. They're not like, they are actually working. And I did that for a long time, drank heavily, sat around talking about things, right? It's
Yeah.
just like, and so then you're just rehashing the trauma. There's not any
Yeah.
healing or anything happening. You're just rehashing it. And then you're actually getting more energy put into it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite connections that you brought up to how to really find your grounding is that connection to nature. And, after our initial conversation, I really looked into the parallels between us and nature and how we are really one and the same. And that is why we have to have that respect. And, get into our kid energy when we are in the grace of the earth that feeds us. Like without those trees, we wouldn't be able to breathe. So I put together this little game and I called it Humans in Nature. And I feel like there are some things that you're going to be able to explain just based off of how directly we look alike to the world around us. So I'm first going to show you some images of nature, and then I want to hear about what you think that parallel is in the human body. All right, so this is a piece of coral.
The brain.
Hmm. And how do you think these two, why do they look so similar? Is there a connection between their purposes, what they're doing, their energy?
It's interconnectedness and sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is in everything. Like you will see those parallels. I love that you did this, Piper. Like you'll see the parallels. Like it's like a language, even on the bark of trees, too, right? Yeah, and I think it's the connection and that kind of thing. I do believe that's like a sea urchin kind of creature that looks like that. So those are tentacles that are all like moving and awareness and all the interconnectedness, which is what I love to say, moving from codependency to interdependence,
Hmm.
and interconnectedness is what you want to do. So I would say that's in here. That's
And
listening. That's listening big time. And those are mushrooms, right?
exactly, like
The
that one
mushrooms
really,
have a really beautiful frequency, which is all about hearing. And fun fact from my spiritually, all of this are in our throat chakra, all in here. This is where all of our clairs are held. So that's clair knowing, clair sensing, your senses, the sight, smell, hear, and things can come to people. Like lots of times people have a hard time visualizing things, but you smell. Smell's a big one for me. Like I can smell things sometimes.
yeah.
Like I've been in the woods and smelled a cigarette.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my God, someone's visiting, right?
Yeah.
But there's like that, and that is a reminder to stop and listen.
Mhm. And how crazy is that? Like that's direct reflection of the
It's a
human.
direct reflection. Stop and listen and things. Yeah, our veins are like the way the blood flows through our body.
How crazy is that? Our flow is a direct flow of our water systems. That's
Yeah, it is. And it's all the elements you're going to too here, if you take that into effect too, the element of water and air and earth and spirit.
Yeah. And, what are we without our connection of our body to the spirit? We are one and the same.
Oh, embodiment is the most important thing. And that's the thing I missed in all of the things that I was doing. I was so busy. Like my analogy now is like, I was this dark glass, imagine it's all full of mud, and you're trying to put this beautiful white light into this body, but it can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it can't, it's just like overflowing out the top kind of thing. So sometimes it's hit and miss where there's this beautiful connection. But the other thing to learn to do is that you'll be okay even on the days when you don't have, because that's how connection even works with nature. I find there's some days I go, I'm like, oh my God, I can feel the trees and the flowers and the birds. And the next day I go, it's like crickets. And I used to get upset about that and think something was wrong with me. Oh my goodness, I wasn't doing the things because that's what the teacher said to me. But truly it is the dance of that you're okay no matter what is in front of you. You are okay no matter what. I can do hard things. Like I'm okay no matter what. I've got the skills. I've got my toolkit here. And in self energy, that's another big thing we talk about in Tanner's work, right? It's finding your self energy in it. And I can explain that, like you're crying and it's like, oh my God, like this. And you're just like, okay, like I tap my chest here and you can feel yourself come up. And sometimes it's just like a sliver of it that you can feel when your parts are really activated. And that's when you lean into community. That's when we call it bridging. Like you're just asking for a bridge. You're not giving your power away. You're just saying, could you help me bridge? Like I'm just moving through this. And you find your people that, my people are even here for me today. And I'm so grateful that they're here with me today. But, we support each other. We send each other love. They say the most, they just reflect back to you and finding those people. And also one of the biggest things is about putting boundaries up about what you don't want to be a part of. Like my daughter came home with it. She went to meet her like mother-in-law, for lack of a better word. She's not married, but like her boyfriend's mom. And she's like, oh, mom, you would have hated it. Like, okay. It's like, it was all like surface level. Like there is everything was surface level. Yeah. And I don't want to be and do that. If it happens in a thing, like I want to be with people that want to have these really deep conversations. I want to know that they're talking about their healing. We all need to heal, every single one. Yeah. Every single one of us. Yeah. And doing it sober, that's a big part of this work too. Yeah. And I stopped drinking.
These people that are so connected with the energies of others, they say like the decline of these negative energies is, or more like the increase is exponential, because we are also caught up in, the negativity. It's hard to see the greatness in things when, there's just so much scary things going on in the world. And that is an energy that we all share, just like the world around us. It's all connected.
But the thing to do, because I wasted so much energy in social justice, I was raised on it, but I've seen a lot of people burn themselves out, actually hurt themselves, a lot of death by suicide, when you're trying so hard to save. Not that we shouldn't do it, absolutely we should, but you and yourself first, right? Me first. It's like the analogy of the oxygen mask, right? Yeah. You even if you're having a time with your children, taking 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, and just it stops you from reacting in way, or parts getting you to react in ways that were done to you oftentimes. Yeah. But the other thing that happens, I just say that I have really noticed, is the more you're comfortable shining your light, the more you're going to attract people that want to attack. Yeah. And I don't mean that in any kind of bad way. It's just about learning to walk. I needed to learn to walk away. Like I'm not ever like I there's no way they're going to listen to me. They're not going to hear me. I spend so much energy trying to convince people of things, right? Or being so wounded by them just like flipping their hand and waving me off and being dismissed. Again, that's all my childhood. That's all my trauma. It's just reliving it over and over again. Yeah. But just learning when to say, okay, inside yourself. You don't even have to say it to the person.
Yeah.
Sometimes this is a great thing. Just put your hands out. I've done it a lot on this, but you just put your hands in front of you and you're like, I give your energy back to you. Just imagine these are like a shield.
Yeah.
Just bouncing it back to them.
Mhm.
And I know sometimes you have to take it in jobs, and that's what people are going to say, but there is still a way to be in the worst possible situation and say, I'm okay no matter what. I got us. I got me.
Yes.
You know, like to be, and even if it is like, but you can stay grounded as opposed to being, you know, way up in there. And that's a daily practice. Like this is, you to learn
Exactly.
these skills is literally a daily practice of putting some work in every single day to,
Yeah.
getting to know your parts, unburdening,
Mhm.
right. Wisdom keeping, Tanner refers to
Yeah.
it as, I love that. Wisdom keeping versus journaling, and with
Yep.
really great prompts that
Mhm.
help you figure out your own medicine.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you bring that up because I think this is a perfect time to bring all of these um factors that we've been talking about into practice. I think we could get into our grounding seminar section so that, the audience and our guest audience could really put what we've been listening to into practice at the moment.
Okay. So this would be something that you would do at the beginning, in the morning if you can, but at least once a day, or if you're feeling really wonky energy and you want to ground.
Mhm.
So grounding into the earth and to flush your system of any. So I just want to start that I'm going to refer to chakras, which are energy centers on your body. There's a root, there's a sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and a crown chakra. If people know human design, there's also human design energy centers. So I refer to the chakra system, but also those other energy systems. So we're using this as a way we're going to flush the system. So
Okay.
start by putting your feet flat on the floor.
Okay.
You can like really spread your toes out. Like if you can be barefoot, and best even if you're on the grass outside. Take a deep breath. One on your heart, one on the bottom of your belly, and you want to breathe down into that belly. Hold it at the top and exhale. And I often like to knock on my sternum too, like I am here. I'm here in this moment. Pulling all my energy back from anywhere it's gone. One more inhale. This time I want you to tip your head to the right. I just want you to imagine anything that's like going around in your brain right now. We're just gonna pretend that it's falling out your ear. It's on a puddle on the floor. And we can pick it up later. It's only for this next few minutes that we're doing this exercise. We're just releasing things from our body. Now come up to center. Inhale, and then I want you to turn your head to the left. Same thing. Just imagine it's dumping out of your brain, your mind, anything that's down there on the floor. You can pick it up later, or maybe not. Come back to center. And now on this next inhale, I want you to imagine that you have roots growing. And first of all, the roots go out around you. If you've ever seen a tree tipped over, you know what I mean? It's a circle of roots. You're expanding it all, wrapping around like your aura. It goes outside of your body. And now we're going to go down with our roots. We're going down through the layers of the earth. And earth has chakras, just like we do. You're going through the earth chakra, you're going through the water, fire. And there is a way to see the cosmos in the earth, not just up in the sky. So there's connection in the earth. Past that, go all the way down to the center of the earth. I just want to remind us of one thing that I've got to make. I want you to just take a moment. Your roots are down there, but I want you to pretend you're taking some dirt and packing it on your head. We really just want to make sure that we are going in the earth and not anything else that we're calling in. So you pack some dirt on the top of your crown chakra right now so that we're focusing down into the earth. grounding us right into the planet that we're on. And now imagine your roots have dipped into the center of the earth, where this is this beautiful Mother Gaia energy that makes the flowers bloom and the trees grow. And we're going to pull that energy up through our root system, all the way up, collecting from each of the realms. There is a wisdom, an elemental wisdom mother for each of the elements. So imagine as you're coming up, whichever element will help you the most, she's sending you extra energy as you're pulling this energy up. And only you know which one aligns with you the most. And now we're going to flush our system to start off with. We're going to come up our left leg. So the energy is at the bottom of your foot right now. And I want you to pull as much as feels okay for you into your body, like into your feet, around your ankle, up your calf, around your knee, up your thigh to your hip. And now we're going up the left side of our chakra. So imagine your spine is just your left side. So half your root, you're coming up that side of your body and through your energy systems, if you know human design too. Up to your shoulder, your throat, side of your face, all the way up to the top. And imagine it's just like curving around, and now that energy is coming down the right side. Again, it's coming down your third eye, your mouth, your throat, your shoulder, through your solar plexus on your right side, your sacral, your root, now down your right leg. And now imagining it all going into the earth, and you've flushed your system from other people's energy, anything in there that was ready to move. I, myself, with my eyes closed, see white. I see bright white. You might see a color, you might smell something, you might see something. I say to you, as this whole thing is happening, trust what comes to you. So you've flushed your system, it went down the other side. Now just like move your body a bit and see how that feels in your body. And now we're going to dip into that energy again with our roots, and we're going to pull it up. And this time when it comes up through us, we're going to go up through our chakra systems, and we're going to blow it out the top of our head, like a whale breath is what I like to call it. We're going to do that 3 times. So pull the energy up, all the way up to the bottom of your feet. Now decide how much you would like to let into your body, what feels good to you. And up your feet, your ankle, your calves, your knees. And when you get to your hips, I'd like you to pause for a moment. And between your hips and your root chakra, which is right at the bottom of you, like you sit on it, is you're going to do an infinity sign. You're just sort of swirling that energy, because especially women, we carry so much in our hips. So swirling that energy around your hips. And then you're going to go to your sacral, your solar plexus, your high heart, your throat, your third eye, and now out your crown. Like we're going to blow some of that dirt off that was there. And now just imagine that all of that beautiful energy is showering down around you, all around your aura. So we're going to do it one more time, just a little bit quicker. We're pulling that energy up through our feet, our legs, our knees, to our hips. Now we're going to do our root, our sacral, our solar plexus, our heart, our throat, third eye, your head, whale breath. Oh, I feel it personally, the energy gets clearer and clearer.
Yeah, me too. I'm in it.
And then this is one more time. We're going to go a little bit quicker again. So up your legs to your root chakra, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye. So you've showered all around you this beautiful earth energy. And I also feel like I sit heavier in my chair and sinking, like sort of sinking right into the earth. So you feel it grounding.
Mm-hmm.
You can hang on to a crystal or a rock or a piece of wood sometimes too with this. And then I'd like you to take one more deep breath and open your eyes. And this is the way I would start any journey with anybody, and then we pull some. So I'm going to pull some from the Soul Flowers card, because you can recreate a little garden that helps you to witness it grow.
What a good
It'll be a
choice.
message for our community that is listening. If you're listening now or you're listening later, this is a message for anyone that has tuned in, that is doing this work or likes to know more about it. And I'm getting a clear message that I'm going to pull 3. So 1, daylily, centering. I'll go 4 at the end. I'll just pull them one at a time right now. The second one, and the way I feel things is kinesthetic. So if you see my body jolt, that's just a clear yes from my body, and that tells me when it's the right card. We're asking for messages. This question now and later. Okay. Second one. Nastrium, vitality.
Okay.
That orange theme going on. So that makes me think.
Yeah, we're on the same theme.
Yeah.
Sure, yes.
And last message for the group. Mugwort integration.
Oh my God. I feel like all of these are in the same.
Yeah, like I see what I mean. Like, it's honestly, these things can just support you. They're not all of it, but they're part of it, right? Like, it just sort of supports you to remind you of messages. So the centering, I'm just going to put my glasses on because I do like to read the author's words. Daylily is short-lived, each bloom fading after only one day. She reminds you to live in the present with a deep understanding that you cannot change things outside yourself. Oh my goodness, like, talk about a card that seals this thing. Daylily encourages you to live in the moment, to loosen up and allow natural processes to flow, to occur in your daily happening. So this would fall into, I'm okay no matter what, right? I'm okay no matter what. I'm just going to look for it because there's an affirmation that goes with all of them. And so I want to see what hers is. I am present and aware of myself and my surroundings.
Okay.
So that's one of the things you always can come back to right now, right? Like, I am here, me here now, as Tanner would say. You know, Tanner Wallace, it's like me here now. You are here in this present moment. So that's like just a beautiful reminder of that. Whew. Wow, I really feel like I feel all tingly in my body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm feeling this, like the braid of these 3 cards is totally working towards the same
and that's true. I'm so interesting. I grew it from seed, like out on my balcony, and it really took off. Like, it's just growing up in my wall right now. Like, I'm putting a trellis up. So for me, and vitality is what this one is. Spicy sensual nastrium. I don't know. I hope I'm saying that right. Encourages your spiritual and thinking self to come into balance with earthly physical reality. Is this what
Did
we have
we
to do?
not talk about that earlier?
I know. I always find the cards kind of like pull together what we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
It brings warmth and vitality into the practical experience of your daily life, motivating you into action as opposed to just thinking about it, which is no more procrastinating. So that is something in my experience of my trauma. And I know now ADHD, which is just new to me, that procrastination and that stopping of doing, like, you need action, like one small step a day. That's all that's required, but don't lay down. Like, I love this analogy that I created about my own. I'm like, oh my God, I laid down in the fog.
Yeah.
Right. And I stayed stuck there. But if you move, it's like the element of air, right? If you just continue moving, like, you're going to move through the fog, or the fog is going to you. But, you know, in those moments when all you want to do is curl up in a ball and do nothing, do one thing: wash the dishes, do a laundry, like even very practical things.
Yeah.
You know, go outside. That's the biggest thing. Go outside for a walk and connect with nature. Those kind of things. And then the last one, mugwort, which is one of the big mugworts, one of the protective herbs that you can use to protect yourself from other people's energy. If you wear it in a little pouch, mugwort, and you can burn it too. It's very, very powerful. And I've never seen it come out of the deck.
I feel like that is also
Integration, which is again an error I made on my journey, which was the integration and embodiment of everything as all just the knowledge when you're living in your mind here. So I've been working with something in my meditation. Maybe if we do one again in a few months, I can work on it. It's like to pull my brain into my heart.
Okay.
Like working with it so that you really can get out of your mind, because it will overrule your heart always. You got to figure out ways to like listen to it, and there's like parts that are a part of this. But mugwort's integration, there is a rhythm and balance to all life, a dance between the physical reality and the spiritual world. Oh my god, my whole body's. Mugwort opens and expands your consciousness to embrace all that you are, light and dark, body and spirit, helping you to integrate all aspects of your multidimensional consciousness into your everyday practical life. Like, boom, right? Like that just, yeah.
I feel like that is such a all-encompassing answer to the questions that we've brought ourselves up to today.
Yeah, I know the cards did. Yeah, let me see what the affirmation for that one, integration, is: I close my eyes and surrender to the mystery.
Okay.
When you can spend, so this is something one of my first spiritual teachers taught me. She's like, if you're questioning it and trying to prove, so for example, I can give it like a very concrete example. You see a dime on your path. That means often like an angel's think, someone's thinking of you that's in the other realm, a feather or a dime.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can see it. And I've been with people and I'm like, oh my God. And I pick it up and I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Hello, who's with me? And people are like, what are you talking about? Like that fell out of someone's pocket, that bird just flew by.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest things, I had a meditation rock where I would go and sit in Muskoka. And I sat down once and there was coins.
Okay.
Like, you know, I got really excited and then I'm like, oh, it just like fell out of my pocket last time. And she would say, you ruined it.
Yeah.
You ruined it. The universe, your guides, everybody, somebody gave you this beautiful gift and your mind took it and tore it apart.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing about intuition is what came first.
Yeah.
First, before you then, which now I know in parts work, those will be parts coming in to do that. Like I know other language to that, but it's like trying to crash the party that was actually a connection that you had.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is to just trust it and say thank you. Mm-hmm. Say thank you. Like they're always sending us messages.
Yeah, completely.
And surrendering into the mystery, that there is the mystery of the universe. I think we would all agree that. Well, maybe not everybody, but.
But if you were giving some thought, you would at least ponder the idea once or twice. And you know, with your experience and your energy, having a lot of people come up to you and just want to reveal things about themselves to you, I feel like you would have been a mentor in many people's lives. And I want to know who has inspired you along your path, who has mentored you, allowed you to learn, that you think would be a great addition to have on this show in the future.
Wallace. She's, yeah. I mean, yeah, she's good. It's her work. Like the foundation of this is her work. And she's like changing the world, man. Like she is creating a movement, changing human evolution. And she has a podcast, she has IG, and she does a lot of things that you can like follow. I followed for 6 months before I joined. I was I didn't do that with anybody else, but then when I did find, that's an incredible resource. My friend, one of my friends, Anna, they're Australians. They've found something called Dreamtime healing, and it's in Australia though. So I don't. Dreamtime healing is an indigenous. I don't even want to attempt to say it, but it's like this powerful healing, a healing thing that I have learned about. And I say to anyone that can help your journey is to, or you asked me about other people. Is to get a deck of cards, is what I was going to say, to just go to the cards and get a crystal that talks to you and a deck of cards that talk to you. And you can weave that into weave that into your daily practice. And I don't know, P. Walker, like he's the one that started this all, right? I don't know if it'd be possible then to interview with him, but that he would also be someone that, to understand, especially intergenerational. Who knows? I mean, maybe he's got book 2 on the works. Maybe he does. I haven't Googled it, but yeah, his book changed a lot of lives of people understanding themselves. And I say this to my recovery friends all the time. Like, I'm 58. I say this to my children. Like, my son and my daughter both listen to me each time I move through something. But
Yeah.
wow, they have the wisdom that I have at 20, at 58. This generation is curious about this. The younger generation, and to the older generation, I was like, be open to it.
Yeah.
Just be open to it and know that if someone's coming to you to talk about this, they want to repair.
Yeah.
They want to repair. And I'd say my son, you want to talk to Casey Avery. I think he's tattoo artist and artist extraordinaire who, if you want to see how any of my stuff passed down, he would be really great to share that. And also he incorporated his own things out of it too.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I'm so excited to work on that, because that familial energy is going to be so fun to explore with a live audience. And that piece of advice about, just being empathetic towards the people around you, because we are living this life for the first time. No matter if you've been here on this earth longer than someone else, we are all the same in that regard. And there's not really anything that we can do other than to accept and work towards this communal piece together. That's really all we can do.
Absolutely. And that's what I would say about my child. Like, my child is transgender. We have been on a journey, man. And he taught me how to be my authentic, like what being your authentic self really means. So this journey that we have been on together, and I also believe deeply that our children choose us.
Yeah.
Thank you. And they're our greatest teachers. If you open to it, there's so many people that don't think that. They think it's like authoritarian, parent to child, you need to listen to me. But to me, it's like they teach us. If we're open to this and we share, and just, you can really, there's so many ways to be open and talk and connect, especially with little kids.
Yeah.
They know this stuff. You talk to any little kid under 5 before they go to school, they get all of this stuff. They could probably teach us.
Yeah.
Of the elementals. It's that when you get into the world and then they squash it. So it's like bringing that back up in us.
Yeah.
To believe, but mostly believe in yourself and learn about your internal world. And no one can guide you. There's only you. Like, people can support you. You can have a great community, but that's my biggest lesson. It's like, no, I thought someone was going to like teach me or help me, and one of the big things in CPTSD recovery is like, no one's coming to rescue. Because we all have a fantasy about wanting someone to rescue us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I want to take back all. I felt like that was like, but a lot of people in my experience around me, maybe not everyone, but many of us.
Yeah.
So I hope this has helped anyone, if anyone has any questions. And it's a support to your healing journey.
Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, the best place to do that is to check out Lorie's Instagram and, have that one-on-one conversation, book some time, and, really just get down and connect, because at the end of the day, we got to live with ourselves. So we might as well try to heal the things that are keeping us from becoming our best selves. So I wanted to thank our guest audience members for coming and participating in that seminar, being part of this energy. Thank you to everyone in the audience for coming out today and, being here with us. And the biggest thank you to Lorie. I'm so glad to have met you, and
I'm so glad to have met you, my friends. You helped me to go to my next level up too. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope our audience is as moved as I am and really feel grounded. I have a weight lifted off my shoulders now after participating in that. And yeah, I want to extend that we would love to be a part of your journey in any way that we can here at LC. And we hope to, just be part of
Well,
this.
I'm evolving. Like my medicine is becoming, and I got 2 more years. This is just
Mhm.
year one. So now, like, I feel like that's why I say, like, watch my IG because I've now got the confidence to just start to share. Because Tanner has taught me this in witnessing her journey that you
Yeah.
just share. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect out the gate. You can also change directions. You can also say, "Oops, like I tried that, and that maybe didn't work." Like to be an example of that's what life is. It's
Yeah.
trial and error, basically, right?
Yeah.
And, not anybody's perfect all the time. No one's
Yeah.
ever. We're
Yeah.
perfectly imperfect. That's my son's like logo for his thing. Perfectly imperfect, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that sticks with you, audience out there, because I know it's stuck with me. And I'm wishing everyone out there love, especially if you're struggling with anything right now. Talk to the people around you, and we're all in this together. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you guys so much for attending today.
Bye.
See ya. All right. Are we still on the air, Yati? Hey, we're good.